Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry about the weird background, but we're gonna work with it. So today I'm gonna be reviewing the next two episodes in the Percy Jackson series. And thus far, it's been interesting. There's some episodes I think that just like go way too quickly. There's moments when things are over-explained, things are under-explained. Certain moments I think are gonna be like really big and really important are happening, and then they kind of fall flat, or the big battle scenes, they don't like pack a punch. They're just like fizzle, and we don't get very much action, and we're just like, that's it. The blackout things that they fade to black are still happening, not as frequently, but still kind of annoying. But I kind of get more into those things in my prior videos, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. I also don't want to spend too much time comparing the TV show to the book. Obviously, we compared the movie to the book. That's why we're here. Because things are going to be different, and I have to accept that, and I have to look at it individually for what it is and see where it came from and what it's trying to do. And I think I saw someone post on social media, like, if we keep bashing it, and I'm here to critique because that's what I do. And obviously there's going to be some times when I have to compare it to the book, but I want to look at it again as its own solid, individual thing, that was inspired by this. Rick is going to add and change, and TV is going to add and change some stuff. But they were saying that, if we bash it, or if we heavily criticize it, or don't watch it, we're going to lose it. And we fought for this. We wanted this. And, it may not be everything that we wanted, may not be exactly like the books, it may be too much like the books. But it's also the first season, and, we have to give it time to grow. We have to give it time to figure things out, gain traction. New people are going to watch it, and, they're going to like it or not like it. I feel right now like I would watch this if I was maybe 10, 11, 12, early teens, and I would like and appreciate it. But me being an adult and looking at it from a critical lens of it as a TV show, not even compared to the books, it as a TV show, I just feel like, again, like I mentioned all the things before, like certain things with the plot, over-explaining, like certain character attributes, like things are not really working for me. And I kind of was like, would I like this if it wasn't a Percy Jackson show? And yes, I would. Would I think it's fantastic? No. And I think I like it just a little bit more because it is Percy Jackson. So that's fair. And I also just kind of enjoy it, on a Tuesday night, because it's like, it's Percy and it's my childhood and everything. But it does have potential, and if we heavily criticize it, we're not going to get to that potential, and hopefully have it grow and be better. That being said, I wanted there to be this big epic scene, where Percy jumps out of the water after the Chimera event, and he plunges from the St. Louis Ark into the water, and the whole nymph thing happens. And it doesn't happen. We end up meeting Grover and Annabeth over by an ambulance, and the St. Louis Ark is in smoke, and it's just like, what happened? How did this happen? Why? Where's the Chimera? Where's Echidna? And just like, what happened? Nothing? Okay. And then we blink and we're going to the next thing, and Percy's dad's gonna meet him in Santa Monica, apparently. And I was like, doesn't more happen in the book? And I wish I could recall things that happen in the book that I don't remember, because it's been a while. And not to compare it to the book, but just be like, did this happen? Is this something they changed? Is this something they added? Is this something that they should have changed? I'm not sure. So then we end up at the side of a highway, and Ares finds them, and he knows where they are because it's Ares, and he helps steal the lightning bolt, which, now that I think about it, why wasn't Ares punished as much as Apollo was? Poor Apollo, he got turned human, and Ares was just let off the hook. So Rick, tell me what happened here. Did we just get the brilliant idea that we're gonna just bash Apollo, and Ares was just like, like, I guess it was later on in his career and when the books gained, traction and everything. So it was just like, all right, this is what we're gonna do now, and it's just like, but poor Apollo. Anyway, getting off track. And so yeah, and then he, holds Grover hostage while Percy and Annabeth, go find the shield. I think this was the most accurate to the book episode that I watched. And it was visually very beautiful. One thing I will say about the visual effects and the prosthetics on the creatures and the, different, like, nymphs and dryads and everything, there's way too much prosthetics on them, or way too much stuff going around. Like, you can't see their face. They look ugly, and, like, no offense, but, like, these things, a lot of these creatures are beautiful and intricate, and there's so many different things that we can do, and it looks like there's just so much things on top of them, or there's so much visual effects going on with them that it's just like, what are we seeing here? So that's all I have to say about that. And no offense on makeup artists. I think, there's some wonderful makeup artists out there, but I just think they haven't found the right fit with that for the series. But then, okay, we end up in the Tunnel of Love. We learn the story of Hephaestus, and I've always loved Hephaestus, and I love the actor that they chose for him. He's a great actor that I clearly don't know the name of. And he's great, but he was a scrawny little guy. Hephaestus is supposed to be this big guy. I was ready, because if we're going to do Heroes of Olympus later, hopefully, that's what we want, that's why we're not bashing it. And I have to critique for the sake of critiquing as my channel. But one day I do want to critique, the Heroes of Olympus, and I want to see Leo's dad, and it's just like, but no, that's fine, and he's this, loving, sympathetic guy, and we're just like, yes, Hephaestus. And we learn, his story about Ares and Aphrodite running off, and, like, Hera rejecting him and everything, and throwing him off Olympus, and it's just very sad. But the holographics and the colors are so pretty, and then we get more Percy Annabeth moments, and they feel, in this episode, their affections and their talks and conversations, rather, are more genuine, and it feels just more like they're really getting to know each other, and it's less forced. I talk about that somewhat in the other episode, which just kind of felt, just didn't fit. I don't know what exactly I said, but now looking back at it, this is kind of how I felt about it, or I feel about it now, and it was going great until we kind of got into this whole, like, Percy is a better demigod / person than we ever will be. He has a better heart, and yes, he does. Percy does, for sure. But they all, I think, all the demigods and all these characters have, like, different characteristics and personalities that we love, and they're not just, like, going for the glory. That's just part of what this book is about. It's like the tiniest minuscule little thing because they're demigods. But what I mentioned before in a prior video is that Luke brought about this in the first episode, this thing about glory, and that demigods are trying to get glory. And I was like, that feels a little blood sickening, fight, war, heavy. Like, you guys are just kids trying to get your parents' affection, and obviously you have to do quests for them, and it's kind of sad and everything, but you're just trying to live your lives, and and that kind of transfers over into this, and it kind of makes, like, it feel like all the demigods are, like, bloodthirsty and wanting to gain fame and everything, and the attention of their parents. Like, yes, but it's not like that. It's more like a kid wanting to feel worthy in their parents' eyes, not wanting to feel like a champion in their parents' eyes. But in some way, yes. But, like, if you catch my drift, you catch my drift. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much. And so, it kind of became that. And that's why Hephaestus let Percy go, because he ended up going in Hera's chair and everything. And I was just like, this is kind of sad. And changing kind of the whole storyline in a weird way. And these characters are already similar, but also have very different characteristics than the ones in the book, which, again, not trying to compare, but that's, like, an essential thing I think we should keep the same. And I was talking about Grover, and then okay, Grover's being held hostage this whole time. Poor Grover. But he's like using this reverse psychology on Ares to try to figure out, and I forget if this happens in the book, who stole the lightning bolt. And I gotta be honest, Grover has started to annoy me. He seems very overconfident. He's very, very random. He doesn't seem genuine. He seems like he's just kind of sarcastic, and that's not what I loved about Grover, and it's just not his personality. And I thought we were gonna go somewhere with this, but we're really not. It's just he's very confusing, very hard to understand. In this instance, it served him well. He found out, Ares was kind of part of it and everything, because he helped, steal the lightning bolt. But like it just, I was so annoyed with him, and so we're kind of changing whole characters' personalities, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. We saw our first Iris message, which was cool. Lin-Manuel Miranda was there for like 5 seconds, which I was sad about. And then we're in a taxi car, because that's how he travels. And then we're going to Santa Monica, and Percy apparently got there too late because there was a time limit to see his dad. And then there's the nymph. But yeah, and then in the Lotus Casino, Grover ends up being like, they separate and he ends up having to go alone, and he loses his memory, and then he meets this other satyr, which I don't know if this satyr, like, I don't know what he has to do with Grover's family, but apparently he has something to do with Grover's family. This isn't in the book either. And then Grover follows him, loses parts of his memory, but when they lose parts of their memory, it's like they remember some things, and then they don't, and then they remember the same, then they do remember that thing like 5 seconds later, because it didn't feel like it went. It was like, if you're gonna forget something, you gotta forget something, like, like chunks and pieces, not like remember it again 5 seconds later. So it didn't feel cohesive. Grover losing his memory, that was kind of funny, and then he's doing VR upstairs, and apparently that has something to do with finding Pan. Maybe that's the name of the game, I don't know. And the satyr apparently was like looking for Pan too, and I don't know. He ended up at the Lotus Casino, and yeah, Hermes like doesn't really want to help him, but then also is like caring about them a little bit because he's Luke's dad, and I feel like each of the gods have like their favorite, like, spouse that they were with and everything, their favorite kid, obviously. And I feel like Hermes, it was like Luke's mom, and then Poseidon, it was like obviously Percy and Sally. More Percy. Sally kind of got over him. But yeah, and then he tells Percy that it was his dad that told him that, sometimes you have to, like, they have this whole parenting talk. Sometimes you have to, like, not be around their kids so they don't, like, get hurt and everything. He says no to helping them get to the underworld because that's where they're trying to go. But then they're also trying to get to Santa Monica, so I don't know. And then he leaves a note for them on a text, and he's like, okay, I guess you were going to do it anyway, so here's what to do. And that was it. And I'm just kind of like, I wanted to see more Hermes. Like, I love Hermes. Like, and then, like, Lin-Manuel Miranda is such a good actor. He's so witty, and this felt very sarcastic and very sad, which I guess that's what they were going for, but, like, I wanted more of that upbeat Hermes, that's we still kind of get even when he's sad, because it's Hermes, so I don't know. And then we look more into Percy's, dreams, and we find out that he, what the dreams are about, obviously. I think in the book it's Kronos trying to talk to him, but over here it's Hades, and apparently Hades is the same guy who, like, was, like, expelling him from Yancey, and I'm like, wait, Chiron was there, couldn't Chiron be, like, Hades, like, or Kronos, or whoever you are, who are you? Because I don't remember who's the person who acts Hades. I don't know if it was him or not, but I'm just like, okay. So yeah, we end up in the back of the truck, and I want to see the whole Percy talking to the zebra, and that doesn't happen. When they're going to Las Vegas, when Ares puts them in there because they got his shield, and yay, and yeah, and then there's more Percy and Annabeth bonding time. In the casino, they stick together. They're like crushing Luke, and the Iris message say they look like an old married couple, which I don't know, it kind of felt forced. I was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of funny, like, we're kind of getting there. But that's like obviously like where their emotions are going, but feels strained. And then the first time she calls him seaweed brain, like it's cute, but it sounds forced. Wise girl sounds forced. And then like, why would you call him seaweed brain after you literally just like, he's so much better than us? Like, I don't know, it doesn't work for me. It's just sad because like we love that, right? Like that's what they're supposed to call that. We're fanning over that, if like fangirling over that. So I don't know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, the nymph ends up telling Percy that, like, you're relieved with your quest, which I don't remember if he gets relieved from his quest. I don't think a demigod gets relieved from their quest. The solstice is over, like, that's supposed to be like the end of the world, like, obviously, like, because Zeus and Poseidon are going to be fighting, like, hello. And it's supposed to be this whole big thing, like the weather is supposed to be like changing, like, is that only in the movie? No, it's in the books. I don't remember. I'm trying not to compare it to the movie, but in that instance, that's all I remember. So yeah, and then Percy's like, no, I'm gonna find the lightning bolt because this is so much bigger than it is. It's like, okay, Percy, like, it took you this long to figure that out. Like, we all knew this. And you mentioned it 2 episodes ago. Like, hello? And then he's like, no, we're gonna stop this, and we're gonna fight this, and it's gonna be great, and everything's gonna be fine, and no, I'm gonna save my mom and everything. And then it's like, you go, Percy, and I'm just like, okay. That's where it ends. That's where we are at. But yeah. So those are my thoughts on this episode. These last 2 episodes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all soon. Bye!